Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melanie Tana, and I love to talk about stories in all different forms, and today I'm talking about not a book, as I normally do, but a TV show. The very popular, recently released The Last of Us. This is a HBO adaptation of the very popular PlayStation video game The Last of Us. Sort of a zombie-type world. Post-apocalyptic survival game that focuses on two characters and their relationship. Those characters being Joel, a 56-year-old man with a sad past, and Ellie, a 14-year-old girl with a lot of attitude and with a special purpose. So this show I watched over the course of a few days with my husband. We binged it, and I loved it. I knew a lot about the game. So going in, I had all these, thoughts and expectations. I even knew how it ended, but I was still hit with some thoughts. Before I get into those thoughts and the specific thought that I have, want to say I want to talk spoilers. That's just what I'm going to do. If you haven't seen this show, I would recommend watching it first, even playing the game. So yes, spoilers happening now. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, please. It's worth the watch. Don't be spoiled by me if you can help it. So I'm gonna just jump right into some thoughts before my battery dies. Anyway, so The Last of Us is so freaking good. I loved it so much. I love zombie type worlds anyway for some reason, even though they're very grim. And I did not realize how much I would fall in love with these characters. Joel and Ellie are so endearing. There's even an episode where they're hardly in it, and I'm still so invested in them. I don't know what it is with Pedro Pascal adopting a bunch of orphans, but he's really good at it. And he has a great performance here. Bella Ramsey, who plays Ellie, is fantastic. I love her character so much. If you guys know the game or the show or both, you know what I knew about the end, and you guys know that it is pretty heavy, that Joel makes a decision that might not be the morally upright choice, but he's not necessarily a morally good person. After 20 years of living through this apocalyptic world, he has changed. He has hurt people. He has taken lives, and not necessarily for honorable purposes. But I want to get into a specific thing, and that is morality and following characters, getting attached to characters who aren't necessarily good heroes. I would say Joel is still a hero in a lot of senses. He takes such good care of Ellie. He cares a lot about his friends, and he has a very small group of people he hardly even considers friends, but he's very close with them. He cares about his brother, and he misses his daughter, always will, and wears the watch that she had fixed for him for his birthday. Leading up to the final episode, there are a lot of moral moments and questions. Also a lot of interesting perspectives and heartbreaking perspectives. And at the third episode, I'm sure you guys know, is like so emotional and so beautiful, and I loved watching that relationship unfold and just showing the different types of relationships and how people will do anything for the ones they love and to protect what is precious to them. And Ellie, having been born under certain circumstances where she is now immune to the virus, they want to use her to make a cure for this. And Joel is taking her across the US, and then they bond. So for me personally, by the end, there's not really much of a moral question as to whether or not what Joel did was right. It wasn't necessarily the morally upright choice. But he doesn't get to say goodbye to Ellie, and Ellie is not given the choice to do this. She's told what's going to happen. She's just put under, and then they're going to do the surgery, and she will not wake up. And he decides in a moment to just kill everybody, destroy this chance of hope that they have, and save her. And I knew that this was going to happen. I knew this from watching plenty of videos about the games. I was very interested in the games years ago and got invested in it. And now I'm faced with this character and I'm watching this character. And of course they've chosen Pedro Pascal, who's a very endearing man, very sweet man, and Bella Ramsey, who's an incredible actress and has a great relationship with Pedro, and then put them together as Joel and Ellie, and I'm rooting for them. What I think is interesting is that the show, leading up to this decision on Joel's part, talks about morality a lot of the time. And especially when Henry is protecting his brother in the episodes in Kansas City. This man has made a decision to save his brother from cancer, and to do so, a very powerful good man dies, leading a very good cause. And it is a decision he makes, and he owns it, but he says, I'm a bad person because I did a bad thing. The show is not letting you think that what Joel did was right, in that saving Ellie's life was probably the wrong decision. Ellie herself probably would have chosen to die for these people. She wanted this whole trip to be worth it. And after what she goes through in the second to last episode, she wants all the suffering that she's been through and other people have been through to have at least some kind of hope at the end. She wants her person to be used for good and her immunity to be used for good. And she even says that to Joel, we're going to get this done. We're going to take care of this. What Joel doesn't know and what Ellie doesn't know is that her life will end at this goal. And so, yeah, Joel makes this decision. It's going to probably wreck humanity. And he has to deal with that decision after. There's no question. The show tells you through characters that you can be a bad person doing bad things, and your reasoning can be to help an innocent person. They express very clearly, like, Ellie would not have wanted this. This is probably the wrong choice. You're destroying this chance. You're destroying the people who could make this happen. He kills the doctor who can make it happen. And he takes Ellie. He saves her life because she's become his daughter. He found his purpose and identity in her. What this is actually exploring is living with that choice and what we would choose. Not so much what is right, but what we would do. While watching the video game stuff and people talking about it, I was like, that's horrible. He should not have done that. Like these people could have been saved, right? Like, I kind of had this idea, like, oh, that's probably the wrong choice. But watching the show and getting attached to these characters in that way, and I probably would have felt similarly if I had played the game, but I got attached to these characters, and by the end, I was thinking, that's probably what I would have done. I would have saved Ellie. Like, I have siblings and people I care about. I'd like to be a mom one day, and I can only imagine what that feeling is like. I can't actually fully imagine. But I think it's interesting that it explores not necessarily a question of what is the right thing to do, but if you know what the right thing is, but it's at such a great cost, are you willing to pay that cost? Are you willing to go through that? He's found his identity in this girl and protecting her, and now he feels like if he doesn't protect her, who is he? What has he done? And in his head is the charge given him at the beginning of the show, and that is save who you can save. And so all he can think of is, I can save her, and that is all I know how to do. I can't save myself, but I can save her. And in this fallen world, I think it's a fair question. Like, would this actually help people? How far could this go? The government's already corrupt. How much better can it get socially? I think what would have emphasized how poor of a decision this was, or the effect of this decision, would have been good to show more monsters. We don't get to see the creatures in every episode. There's some episodes where you like hardly see any, and if any at all. And I think the true monsters are the people, the conscious, alive people. And so in that world, I mean, how much could be done after all this damage? So there are those questions. But I'd say at the end of the day, Ellie would have sacrificed herself to save these people. But she's been put in the position now to deal with the fact that Joel made that decision for her. But the true moral betrayal that was a hard choice for him and was filled with a lot of shame after he's, chosen to protect her and in this rage saved her life and now is leaving and trying to convince her that something else happened, that he didn't do what he did, that there was a raid and I saved your life and there's nothing we can do and it won't actually help anybody. He tries to convince her of that, and she can sense something is wrong. She makes him promise that what he said actually happened because she doesn't believe him, and she's very vulnerable about her past with him, sharing a story that she hasn't been able to share up until that point. And in being vulnerable with him, he still lies to her, and she can sense it, and there's nothing she can really do about it. But what a powerful moment that I did not feel bad when he was just taking out a bunch of fireflies to save her life. I thought, yeah, get Ellie out of there, because I'm so attached to them. I wasn't thinking so much about the morality as I was about the relationship and the care he has for her. And then that relationship becomes threatened because of what he did, and more even than that, because he lied about it. He gives her false information. When she is open with him, he is closed to her because he can't face what he has done. And I just think what a powerful story. Just some thoughts on my part. I just think, first of all, casting such endearing people, what a genius move to get our hearts, attached to this story. Observing people in these relationships, what we would do for them, and how important that quality of life is because of the people in our lives, and how that quality of life and identity is threatened when our loved ones are threatened. Like, that's pretty big. And going further, great decisions don't have to be questioned. If someone does something wrong, it can just be wrong. What we should be asking ourselves is not, is that the right thing to do, but what would I do in that scenario? And those types of questions are deeper than just morality, and creates real human stories and real human questions that make us think more than just, was that the right thing to do? Because it's not just about that. It's about our experiences and what lead us there that help us understand people, and that definitely make for good stories. So, wonderful show. I'm obsessed with it, devastated by it. I find it really fascinating that the betrayal of the world hit me harder than the betrayal of a loved one. I'm not surprised, but I just think it is very interesting how that emotional response was brought out in us. And I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. What did you like or dislike about the show? I thought it was beautiful looking. I thought the music was beautiful. I thought the characters were fantastic, and it makes me want to play the game. It also makes me want to not play the game in some ways. I want to know, what would you do? And what are your thoughts on the morality of these choices and the depth that it takes? Thank you guys for sticking around. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week with another one.